talking about an extension for Adobe Launch, Adobe Tags under data collection. And this extension is called AA via AEP Web SDK. So this is a companion extension, something that you use with the Adobe Experience Platform Web SDK extension. And a little bit about what it is. So it's an improved solution for Adobe Analytics data collection using the AEP Web SDK. And I think that anyone who's gotten in there and has tried to do Adobe Analytics data collection using Web SDK has found it to be a little bit of an odd bird. It's definitely not your, the language that you're used to. You're not speaking in props and evars and events. You're not, setting page name. You're setting xdm.web.webpagedetails.name. And you have to kind of learn a whole lot of new stuff in order to even do the most basic. And what we wanted to do with this extension is just make it easy, speak in your language, make it work for you. So before we go any further, let's just talk about why AEP Web SDK in the first place. Why would you want to do this? Why wouldn't you just collect data to your analytics collection servers the way that you're currently doing it? And there's a number of reasons why you might want to do this. So from the launch implementation side, it's lighter. So you can be up to 150K lighter than what you are if you were using all 4 extensions that are being replaced by AEP Web SDK. It's faster. So we're using fewer network calls. We're getting data up to the collection servers a lot quicker and a lot more efficiently. We have more durable visitor identification. So we're seeing visitor IDs kind of fall by the wayside, especially if you're using third-party cookies to persist them. There's a solution within AEP Web SDK for that, including even using your own durable visitor ID from your servers. Built-in privacy controls, so something that is becoming more and more important, and to have that built into the library is really key. Unified, so 1 library versus 4, and enablement of platform. So in addition to doing what you may be doing today, just collecting data for Adobe Analytics or doing target stuff, this is enabling some new platform functionality that you might want to take advantage of, like server-side forwarding, real-time CDP, real-time decisioning for personalization, recommendations, that sort of thing. So let's all assume it's axiomatic. You want to do this. How do you do this? So the goal is to get from using this extension to using this new extension. And this one, if you know it, then you know the new one. And that's really kind of the recurring theme here. If you're familiar in this environment, you're going to be really familiar in this new environment. So looking at the sort of the manifest or the extensions that you might have on your website right now, everybody's going to have the core extension. You probably have Experience Cloud ID Service, so Visitor.js. Adobe Analytics is the other extension you're probably going to have, and you may be using our product string builder or another product string builder or building product strings in custom code. So we're moving from this environment to this new environment where core is there, but ECID and Adobe Analytics and Target is all getting replaced by the AEP Web SDK. And the functionality of these 2 extensions is provided by the AA via AEP Web SDK. So extension actions. These are the things that you're probably already used to. So our new extension provides set variables action. So you can set props, evars, events, hierarchies, even list vars and currency code. And we're respecting your custom code that you may have been using within the AA extension. So you can trigger, you get the triggering event passed in and the S object. We have a send beacon action. So you can send a beacon as a page view or as a custom link or download link or exit link. We have the clear variables action, and we have a set product string action, which works exactly like our AA product string builder. extension configuration. So what can we do globally? We can set global settings. So these are variables that you're going to set on every beacon that goes out, and settings applied via the UI prior to do plugins. If you're familiar with do plugins, we can also implement that using configure tracker using custom code. And this is exactly what you're used to. So it gets the S object, it runs an initialization, and it allows you to do set up plugins, do use plugins, set to true, do plugins as that function that runs just before the beacon goes out. And short and sweet, let's get into the demo. Let's see this thing working. We're going to do this on a website called 7pigs. And this website has product pages. And this is where we're going to implement a little SDR here. So we're going to just follow the rules here, follow the instructions. And right now on this, we have a launch property called 7pigs AA demo. We have a data layer, which this is an event-driven data layer. We're pushing page load started, product viewed, user detected, and page load completed. So we've got those 4 events that are being pushed, and those events get consolidated into this computed state. And we have page info and we have product info. So we have a product array with price info and product info and user key that has some user info available for us. And we can see here, if we just refresh this page, we have launch, we have some rules firing, but coming over to the experience platform debugger, we're going to see there's some client-side stuff happening, but there's nothing going to the edge. So at this point, nothing is really happening. So sort of clean slate. And let's just jump into this SDR. So it says on every beacon, we want to track the following. We want to set evar 5 and prop 6 to the values of these data elements. We want to set page name, channel, and server to this data or these data elements. And we want to set evar 9, evar 8, evar 9, and prop 9 to some plugins. And so anything that is sort of on every beacon, that's where we're going to go into our extension, and we're going to go to the configuration. And this is going to look very familiar. So we have the global variables section, and evars, we said evar 5. We're going to select a data element. That's going to be path name. And prop 6, we're going to set that to user login status. And page name, we want that to be page.page name. And server is going to be location host name. And channel is going to be page.page category. So these are those variables that you should be very familiar with. If we come back to the SDR, we've taken care of all of this. Now let's go ahead and do the plugin stuff. And I'm not going to type all this stuff in, but configure tracker using custom code. I have this stuff in an editor, and I'm just going to copy it and paste it in. And we set use plugins to true, do plugins to our function that sets evar 8, prop 9. And we're declaring our plugins down here, get time parting and get visit num. These are just like I copied them out of Experience League. So I just went out from the documentation, I dropped them in there. And a lot of your current custom code is just going to work here, which I think is really refreshing. I click save, and I'm going to say save to library and build. The other thing is that on every page, we're going to look for this page load completed data layer event, and we're going to send a page view beacon. So let's go back in here, and we'll go to our rules. And I have a rule already configured to run on that event. The actions that I'm going to add are from the AA via AEP Web SDK. I'm going to send a beacon, And boy, that looks familiar, s.tl. And just for good measure, housekeeping, I'm going to do a clear variables. And so that's my action sequence. And I'm going to go ahead and save to library and build. And so while it's building, let's come out here. Let's make sure that we're all cleared out. So we'll clear our logs on the client and on the Edge side. Here our build's complete, and we'll refresh the page. And as we refresh the page, you're going to see some interesting things. Here is some logging that's coming out of this extension. And this is going to be super helpful to you because it's logging not this stuff. So here's the thing that's actually getting sent. So XDM, web page details, page views, set to one, server, site section. This is that stuff that you would have to learn if you're going to do this without this extension. But instead, you can see that, hey, my page load completed, rule fired, and my global settings are being applied. Page name, channel, server, evars, evar 5, props, prop 6. And then after my do plugins run, I can see, hey, evar 8 got my time parting value. evar 9 got my visit num, prop 9 got my visit num. And the extension, when you do send beacon, it goes ahead and does the alloy send event, sending the stuff to the edge. So in the debugger, if we look at the edge, there's some new stuff up here. And we can see request received by Experience Edge, and we can see, yeah, here's that stuff. So analytics, custom dimensions, evars, evar 5, evar 8, evar 9. So all that information was passed up, sent to the edge. And here's where it gets really exciting, because this is where the automatic mapping takes place. And we can see mapped query params. Here's our report suite. And here are all of the mappings that took place. So we've got a bunch of sort of context variables, behind the scenes stuff. But here's C6, prop 6, prop 9, channel, your URL, your page name, your MID, refer, here's your server, here's evar 5, evar 8, evar 9. And so all of that mapping happened automatically because the extension put everything in the right place for all of the props and evars that you wanted to capture. So let's take it one step further. We're going to look at what happens on a product page. So we're going to come back in here, and knowing that on this product page, we have product info provided in this product array. And we have a key of price and product info, and then some subkeys under those things. So we're going to go into product viewed, and we're going to look at actions and AEP, A via AEP, and we're going to do set variables. So we wanted to set an event, the prod view event. And we'll just say keep changes on that. That's all we have to do there. And now we're going to go into the set product string action. And this one, we have to tell it where our data layer is. We have to tell it where our product array is, which is just under product. And our SDR said we want to set the category to static text of product. We want to set our product ID, product ID, I can't type, and this is as collection item path. So this is within this array. This is the value that we want to pull out. And then we want to set some product string events. Let's see, what were they? Event 11 is out of stock, and event 12 is price, selling price. So let's set event 11, product info is out of stock. And then event 12 is going to be price. I'm sorry. What is event 12? Yeah, price, selling price. So this is the price at the time of the product view. So because this is going to be a true false, we're going to set this Boolean flag to convert it to a 0 or 1. And then selling price is going to be a currency type event in our configuration. And then we also want to set, looks like EVAR10 and EVAR11. So let's select those. EVAR11, and this is going to be product info name and product info.brand. And these values aren't magical. They're just following the structure of the object within the product array. So we'll keep changes. And we don't have to send a beacon because this thing is happening within this sequence of events. So if we look at our data layer, we know that page load started may convey some info, product viewed is conveying some info, user detected is conveying some info, and then page load completed is actually doing the send beacon. So we're stacking this information, we're capturing all this information piece by piece, kind of building, assembling our S object or XDM, if you will, and then we're going to pass it along. So we're built, and all I have to do here is do a reload. I'm going to clear my edge side events before I do that, and we'll reload. And we see up here our product viewed event and the set product string action. And we've got a little table that kind of shows you all the values that are in the product string. If you had multiple products, you'd see multiple rows in that table, or you can look at a category cost, EVAR 10 and 11, events 11 and 12, our product ID and our quantity. And so let's take a look down here. When we send the beacon, you can see, hey, there's our product string right here. And then our product event, prod view event is in the events. And coming to the edge, we'll go straight at the mapped query params and see a couple new things. One is our events list. So prod view, event 11 and event 12. So those were put in there because these are also in the product string. And here's our product string. So our product string was built out there through the automatic mapping. And you can go, as crazy as you want to go with that. And just one more thing. So here's when a product is added to the cart, we want to set the SCAD event. We want to set the product string. And the only difference here is event 13. So I'll just show you that. And then we're going to send a custom link this time with a link name. And I've done this ahead of time, so we don't have to walk through it all together. SCAD in our events. So that's our set variables. Here's our set product string. Exactly the same as before, except event 13 is included. And then send beacon. This time we do s.tl. We say it's a custom link, could be a download or an exit link. And then the link name is just the static value, product added to cart, could be a data element if you wanted to do it that way. And then we do a clear variables after sending the beacon, and that's it. And so to see this going, let's clear our events and let's just click the add to cart. And sure enough, product added to cart, set the product string. Here's our event 13 in the product string. And yeah, let's take a look over here. Our mapped query params should have event 11, 12, 13 and SCAD, and it does. And then here's our product string with event 13. So that is pretty much, that's the demo, that's the walkthrough. And at this point, really what's next is go give it a try. You can find it in the extension catalog. Just search for AA or AEP Web SDK. and let us know. Let us know how it's working for you. If it's not doing something that you need it to do, we're all ears. We want to make this useful for everyone. And I'm out there on the Experience League communities. You can hit me on email. Haley Meekins is product manager for this effort, and she's also available via email, and then also out on Measure Slack. So that's about it. I'm going to take it back to Julie, and if there's any questions from the audience, I'm happy to field those.
Thank you so much, Stu. I thought that was really awesome, that demo, just taking us through all of the different steps and really seeing it in action. So I do see one question come through. Raphael says, kind of unrelated, but what browser plugin are you using for console?
For console, within the extension, it is using satellite.logger.log or using turbine.logger.log, depending on where the code is. And it's, I think console.table is being used for the product string stuff.
Awesome, thank you. And so as you were going through that demo, it looked like you were using the data layer manager. Is that a requirement for using this extension?
No, it's kind of just muscle memory for me because I use it on every site that I implement. The triggering of the events has nothing to do with the functionality of this extension. So if everything on your site is, DOM scraped events, then that's fine. They will work just like they work today. You should be able to transfer directly over.
Cool. All right, looks like we have a question from Ricky. He said, if you have satellite.setDebug true, then the extensions will output the logging.
Great point. This logging is only visible when you have debug set true. So, if you're using our extension, you have debug on, or however you turn debug on or off. You could be doing it through the Adobe Experience platform debugger too. So yeah, these will not be there unless you ask for them.
Cool, thanks for that call out. Let's see. Another question, can this extension be used for managing the context.data object?
No, it's the output of this extension is an XDM object. So as you are doing set variables or as you're doing do plugins or global settings, what's happening behind the scenes is that there is it's called XDM state, and it's a JSON object, and we're managing that JSON object, and that JSON object is what is eventually sent to the edge via the Alloy send event command.
So can this extension then be used for setting the non-Adobe Analytics XDM values?
Sure. So if you are doing, let's say you're doing something that is maybe a little bit of a hybrid. So you're doing Adobe Analytics data collection, and you really only care about props and evars and events and the S dot whatever. And then you also are landing some stuff in the data lake, and you're wanting to collect some other XDM stuff. So XDM dot whatever. At Summit this year, they announced that they're adding rule stacking capabilities to the AEP Web SDK. And so if I were in that hybrid scenario, I would be using the AEP Web SDK rule stacking to set the non-AA stuff. I'd be using this extension for doing the AA stuff. and then I'd be using the core extensions merged objects functionality to create the final combined XDM that you then send off to the edge.
Awesome. Yeah, it sounds like there were some great conversations that came out of Adobe Summit, and just that's pretty cool that you're getting the inside scoop of what's coming next. So
yeah, I'm really excited to see that drop.
Awesome. Did you say when that they were going to drop that?
Soon. That's always what they say, soon. So
soon. That's always the case. So oh, well, that'll be cool. And so the benefits to that new drop, what will those look like?
It's really, instead of having to have your XDM object data element, which is based on your schema, and having to do all of the configuration of that XDM all at once, you can now do the rule stacking, which is what we're doing with this extension. So we're basically saying we are going to have a persistent object, and we're going to be able to layer things onto it. So one rule in launch can add one piece of information. Another rule can add another piece of information. And you can, bring it all together into a final object and then send it. And so that's really the great enablement, because you could say, hey, on my product viewed event, I'm going to have an action that's going to set some Adobe Analytics stuff. I'm going to have an action that's going to set some non-AA XDM values. And on your page load completed, then you kind of merge those together using the merged object data element type and send that off to the edge.
Awesome. Yeah. So for this extension that we got the demo for, the AEP Web SDK extension, can you remind us where everyone can find it and just how they can get started?
Yeah. So it's in the extension catalog. So if I just I'm just going to go to some property that doesn't have it, I'm going to go to extensions, and you would go to the extension catalog and just type AA, and it's right here. So AA via AEP Web SDK.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, like Stu said, if anybody gives this extension a try, we are all ears. And if you'd like to reach out to myself or Stu, we are happy to connect you to answer any questions you have. So it looks like we do have a user, and they said that it's a great extension. So thank you so much, Oliver.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Awesome. Well, it looks like those are all of the questions that we have for today. So I want to thank you so much, Stu, for giving us the live demo and sharing what you heard at Adobe Summit, and just sharing your skills with us. So thanks everybody for joining, and we're looking forward to seeing you at the next SDEC session.
Thanks much.